We're on the air, live broadcasting once again from the top of stately Torch Tower. It's Johnnie Torch Live, number 103, the 103rd big live broadcast. We're not really doing it live on the air today. I got kind of a headache, and when I feel a little off the beam, I record them. But still, I record them in case I need to do some minimal editing, in case I get off track. But as you know, I like to get long-winded. But yeah, it's just turn the camera on and let it roll, and that's why we call it Johnnie Torch Live. No scripted stuff like I used to do, which hopefully I can get back to doing. I think I say that every time. But we've got our big 99th Torch News Roundup today. 99 editions of the Torch News Roundup. And it's tough because the news roundups are pretty time sensitive. So they kind of escape into the ether of history, and I don't go back and revisit them quite as often as I do some of my reviews and so forth, but it's always fun to talk about the news. I always kind of liked, because we were talking during the 100th big broadcast, the 100th broadcast, my inspirations and stuff. And I would kind of be remiss if I didn't mention how I think I always kind of wanted to be a sort of a talk show host on the radio, because sports radio, they seem to have the most fun. You can also have fun doing politics and stuff, but that I grow tired of politics, talking about it. I don't see how people can talk about it 24/7. I really don't. It would drive me to a mental institution. But sports is fun, but I'm not a really big sports guy. And when I was a kid, I was about 13, 14 years old. I used to listen to a local college radio station that for Tufts University, as a matter of fact, right around the corner here. From where I used to live. And they had a show called Sports Chat. And I really dug it. I really got into it. I listened to it every week. And the only time I was mildly interested was when they used to talk football, because I've always been a big football guy. But, just hearing the fun about, the enthusiasm about the players and teams and what's going to happen and this and that. And I always felt like, well, why couldn't we have something like that about Star Wars? Why can't we have a radio show about comic book heroes? Of course, back in that day, they didn't have too many movies. We had the Batman movies, and the Superman movies had just about wrapped up. But I always wanted to sort of hear a show like that. Now I'm able to host a show like that, praise God. And it's just the most fun thing in the world. And of course, it's great also if you can have people interacting with you. And the callers used to call. I never had the courage to call up, I have to say. But it's because I didn't know enough about sports to carry a conversation. It would just be like, hey, Parcells is doing great with the Patriots, eh? That's all I knew. I mean, I'm probably not much better now other than it's Belichick and not Parcells. But yeah, it was cool. And that's another thing that kind of pushed me in this area, which is let's talk about the cool stuff. Let's talk about stuff that interests me and interests many of you. I mean, I'm certainly not in a minority here of people that want to talk, on YouTube about Star Wars and Star Trek and superheroes and comics and stuff like that. It's just great to be able to have that privilege now to do that and share it with some like-minded folks. Okay, I've gone on long enough with the preamble. Let us get moving into the show proper. I do want to mention briefly the video I just did on Friday night. I did a quickie video about my campaign to sort of make Supergirl an escapist fun show again. And if you want to check that out, I'm sure I'll have the card up at the end of the video. And you can check out that video and see if you can spread the hashtag Supergirl, please punch a big robot. It would mean a lot to me to see if we can get the CW or WB to take notice that Supergirl is going down sort of a rabbit trail of SJW stuff that is really going to lead to its inevitable demise, the show. Now, this is what we call trying to fill up space. I'm actually looking for something online that I forgot to do. And that's why you can hear me clicking away here on the computer. I'm not as talented as the other YouTubers that can just continue to talk and talk and talk and be tapping away on the computer trying to find something. All right. I wanted to bring to your attention a poll that I put up for the poll of the week, if I can find it. All right, I think I've got it. That leads into our first story. It's a very popular poll, so that's why I'm bringing it up. But of course, just to cap off, check out that video. I'll have a card up at the end of this video where you can check out what I have to say. It's been going on for the past 2 videos where I brought this up, where Supergirl needs to be brought back to escapist fun. They are doing too much of the SJW nonsense. They're bogging it down, incredibly so, to the point that even I, the most patient of souls, is starting to get irritated. So check that out later after the video. All right, now this is the poll of the week question, now that I brought it up, because as I said, sometimes you're not completely prepared even when you think you are. Now, the poll of the week question, I've got 114 votes. That is pretty good for my polls. If I can get up to 120, that's about my limit. But this might go over that because we still got 5 days left. 114 votes, and the question is, with the news that the Disney-Fox merger is going to take place early next year, there's a pretty good chance Fox's X-Men Dark Phoenix film won't see the light of day. What do you think should happen to the film? Of course, this is on the back of many rumors and stories that we're going to cover in a moment about how Disney really doesn't want the Dark Phoenix movie because they are hoping to enfold the X-Men into their franchise, the MCU, sooner rather than later. And the problem being that it'll be too soon to trot out a new X-Men, to trot out a new Dark Phoenix, when the public has in their mind the most recent incarnation. Before I talk more about that, which I'm going to, this is the results thus far. The poll options we have are either release it, bury it, direct to DVD, or a streaming service. 4 choices. And in last place, we have direct to DVD. That kind of makes it feel kind of cheap. I guess I can understand why that's last. That's with 10% of the vote. Number 3 is a streaming service with 19% of the vote. Although I'd rather just buy the DVD if I was given an option. I don't want to pick up another streaming service just to watch it, but there you have it. And then the permanence of having a DVD is preferred by me, at least, which I guess not by many. And in second place, with 26% of the vote, bury it, which looked like it was going to be the winner in this one. But as time went on, release it has taken first place with a whopping 45% of the vote. So it looks like a multitude of people want to see this film. And as I said, I don't see the purpose in burying it. It's a all-star cast. We still have McAvoy, Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence. It's not like this is some kind of... Because the same question comes up with New Mutants. That movie is going rumored is also going to be, buried possibly. In that case, it's a little more understandable, seeing as how it's not a, Oscar-level cast that could be just removed from the schedule and pop up somewhere on Netflix or a streaming service, Disney streaming service that they're planning. That might be something that could happen. But as far as this is a legitimate X-Men movie, we've got legitimate X-Men characters here: Cyclops, Jean Grey, Nightcrawler, Magneto. Of course, as I said, the actual actors are Oscar caliber. You don't really bury that kind of project. I don't think you bury it. And well, since I'm launching right into this, let me get the image up so that we can start talking X-Men and the merger for Disney and Fox. And the problem with burying this also is, if you bury this film, you turn it into another Holy Grail. And that's happened so many times in superhero cinema. Going back with Superman 2, the Donner Cut. We don't have to look very far to go back to the Snyder Cut of Justice League. Everybody that is moderately a fan of Zack Snyder is clamoring for that still, and apparently you're not going to get it, which, as I've said before, I don't really care. I don't like Snyder's work in the DCEU up to now. He had 2 shots, didn't really make the most of either of them. Started doing the Justice League movie, and personal reasons supposedly is what took him out of the production of that film. But I think it was just a nice way of having them say, look, you're not giving us what we want, the studio saying, we need to get somebody in there to touch it up. And of course, they brought in Joss Whedon. But yeah, quite frankly, you make this the forbidden fruit, and you're never gonna end the uh, the obsessive, fascination with it. Nobody's going to leave it alone, and they're going to keep wanting to see it released in one form or other, and that's definitely going to take the emphasis off your X-Men films. All right, let's see. Now, here is the rumors for what will become of the Fox X-Men franchise. Nothing is said so far about The Gifted, which is soon to be releasing its second season in about 2 months. But as far as the film slate goes, it's said that Gambit is definitely off the table at this point. It's effectively been scrapped. So that isn't a big surprise. We've gone over the years, many episodes of the Torch News Roundup have been dedicated to, is the Channing Tatum Gambit film ever going to happen? Should it happen? Does anybody really want it? Not really. So it's not really a big loss. Also, according to this rumor, Psylocke, meanwhile, won't be in Dark Phoenix. There was some rumor that she was in it, I thought, but apparently, according to this report, not. Mr. Sinister isn't part of the New Mutants and never was. As a result, we're left to assume that the villain is being saved for X-Force. Okay. X-Force has been speculated to be off the table. However, it sounds like the movie will be spared from Fox's decision to cull Dark Phoenix and New Mutants, possibly to send the Merc with a mouth off in style at the end of his trilogy. Deadpool will probably continue on in the Marvel Universe. Whether he will be in an R-rated feature film remains to be seen. Yeah, I don't know about that. I think what happens typically is you don't keep the same actor in the series if you're going to do a reboot. And I don't think you can fold that version of Deadpool into the MCU. So what's going to have to happen is they're either going to continue on with the Ryan Reynolds Deadpool in his own independent movies, or they're going to just recast the character. I think they probably will just continue on with him in independent films rather than try to put him in the MCU at large. Otherwise, the only way they could do it is maybe to stick him in Netflix, but that Netflix world is tonally quite different from Deadpool. Okay, and let's see. Now, this, just prior to doing the show, I got this from, again, I don't have the sources for a lot of these things, but back in March, it was announced that 20th Century Fox had pushed back the release of X-Men Dark Phoenix from November 2nd of this year to February 14th of 2019, with the film set to undergo significant reshoots based on feedbacks from a test screening. So this is, this is smart. It's still on the table. They say that the merger is going to happen early next year. They still have a shot to get this out before, Disney is completely entrenched in taking over. The reason for the delay in reshoots was due to cast availability, but it seems schedules have now cleared up, and the cast and director are heading back to Montreal this August. The reshoots will reportedly run through to September, and that whole set pieces are actively being constructed for this additional photography. So again, this begs the question, if they sunk so much money into this project, and they're apparently going to still sink money into this project by continually tinkering with it and do reshoots, not just the usual pickups is what they're called, but reshoots. If they're going to do honest to goodness reshoots, they are going to release this movie. They are not going to spend a lot of money on a budget of special effects and set design and construction if they are going to shelve this film. So this film will be out in February of next year. I think that's pretty much a safe bet. Okay, so let me know what you think. Do you want to see the Dark Phoenix movie? Do you want to see them bury it? Do you want to see it come out in some other form of media? Let me know. Jump down to the link in the description below. You will find my Twitter page. You can vote in the poll of the week question. You still have 5 days, so you got plenty of time to make your voice be heard. And like I said, it's a popular poll. We've already got over 100 votes, so it's doing very well. Okay. Before we get into anything else, I don't have any notes for this because another story that just broke, so to speak. I just saw this trailer just before coming on live, but there is a second Iron Fist trailer where Iron Fist actually looks like Iron Fist. He has the bandana on with the, pronounced eye slits there. Looks really cool. There's not a whole lot to the trailer. I wouldn't even really call it a trailer. They just seem to put together a couple of scenes, flashbacks while Danny Rand is walking with Colleen Wing, and he keeps getting images of being in Kunlun, and apparently this is a fight with Davos, I think is his name, his friend turned enemy from the first season, which I thought was a highlight of that first season. I always say this, but quite honestly, I liked Iron Fist quite a lot. It seems popular to bash the show. I don't know why. I liked it. I really enjoyed it, possibly more than any of the other shows. Like I said, Daredevil's one of my favorite heroes, but I don't feel like he's getting justice done. And because I don't know enough about Iron Fist, all he really needs is the costume. Apart from that, his story seems to be the most interesting of Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones. I find myself more interested in Danny Rand's story, being a martial arts master from some hidden city. And his cast of characters is probably the most captivating. Colleen Wing, of course, steals the show. She did the first season. Like I said, the enemies, Davos was really cool. And, the chick, what was her name? I don't know. She's supposed to be like his old girlfriend or something. But yeah, I found the show really interesting. And like I said, I think part of the reason why I found it so interesting was that they put the bad stuff at the beginning of the season, so it only got better. Like I said before, if they cut off the first 2 or 3 episodes and don't have him like some homeless guy that's in a mental ward and this and that stuff wasn't necessary. But once they got into the plot at large with the, shenanigans going on with his company and the connections with the Hand, I found it very interesting. So I can't lie. I'm looking forward to this. And like I said, it's coming out early in September, I believe the 7th. I'm not positive, but check it out on Netflix. And I just might order it to see Luke Cage season 2 and Iron Fist back to back. That will be pretty cool. All right, let me know what you think in the comments below about the Iron Fist. And all right, next up, let's see. We got some more news for you. Now, this is a story that came out last month, and I can't believe I missed it. I heard things about it, but I don't know what else was going on at the time, and I kind of let it go by the wayside. But I really want to check this out. So, check this out. Star Trek fans will be boldly going all over the universe in the next few years if CBS franchise expansion plans stick. According to Variety, 4 new Trek series are actively in development at the network, presumably as programming for CBS All Access, the streaming-only service that premiered Star Trek Discovery in late 2017. All right, so this is interesting. Alex Kurtzman, whose credits include the Star Trek Kelvinverse films, several Transformer movies, and the recent Dark Universe reboot of The Mummy, is supervising all the shows in development as well as taking over showrunner duties on Discovery Season 2. All right, now, so there's 4 shows, looks like. There's going to be 4 shows they're going to try to release along with Discovery, which I'm still not really, I haven't seen Discovery besides the first episode. We talked very briefly about the trailer back on the 100th episode. I don't know. It's like I said, it's kind of like encroaching on the original continuity. I don't know if this is supposed to be the Kelvin continuity, Star Trek Discovery. Is that what it is? That's possible. I don't know. All right, the first series of the 4 is set at Starfleet Academy. That's an idea that's floated around ever since Enterprise went off the air. The show will come from Stephanie Savage and Josh Schwartz, the creators of Gossip Girl, CW's Dynasty reboot, and Hulu and Marvel's Runaway series. So, yeah, all right. I mean, they always talk about doing a Starfleet Academy show, but listening to the rundown of the creators of that show, we might just call it Riverdale High Starfleet Academy or something like that, because that sounds like what that's going to be. I don't know about that one, but we'll see. All right, next up. The second idea in the works is positioned as a limited series that Variety says is based around the Wrath of Khan story. More likely is a show centering on Khan Noonien Singh, portrayed by Ricardo Montalban in the great Ricardo Montalban. You can't just say Ricardo Montalban. This guy doesn't know what he's doing writing this. The great Ricardo Montalban in the Star Trek original series Space Seed episode, and again in the film Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Okay, this, I guess, would probably be the actual Khan, not the Benedict Cumberbatch Khan. I'm not sure. All signs point to something set during the eugenics wars of the 1990s. Remember that? Wrath of Khan director Nicholas Meyer is involved with the project, which he seemed to confirm in May of 2018. Oh, that sounds exciting. I'm really excited about that now, if you know Nicholas Meyer's in charge of that, because he's the one that wrote Wrath of Khan with Harv Bennett and so forth. That's the most interesting to me of all, especially if it's a short story. But I mean, a short series, a miniseries, because something like that, I don't think you can drag out for too long. It would also be interesting to see him after Space Seed, when he's on City Alpha 5 and the desolation that takes place and stuff. That could be cool. I mean, if you do like a flash forward, you do like, let's say 6 episodes of the eugenics war, then you jump after he wakes up and is sent to City Alpha 5, and then he wakes up and he's in the the cargo crates there. That would be cool, I think. The final shows are lighter on details, but one is intended to be an animated series, which would be the first Star Trek animated series since the original series animated series ended in 1974. That might be interesting, especially if maybe it's a continuation of the original animated series. That might be fun. We could do the motion picture year or something like that. The final show might bring back Jean-Luc Picard. That's why we've got Patrick Stewart's kisser right here up front and center. According to Hollywood Reporter, Kurtzman and Discovery Season 1 writer Akiva Goldsmith are reportedly in the works on a series that could bring back Patrick Stewart to the iconic role. Now, this is interesting because I always wondered why they never followed up after Nemesis. And quite honestly, Nemesis wasn't that good. I don't think anybody really thought it was that good. But see, I'm not really a diehard Next Generation fan, so I'm not really in the position to say these things. But they kind of left it that you needed to have another epilogue. You know what I mean? Kind of what I said with Rocky V when we were talking about that a couple of weeks ago. You couldn't just leave it there. You had to come back and do a Rocky Balboa because it really wasn't the most appropriate send-off. And the way they kind of left it with Picard kind of alone and Data's gone and you had B4 and I don't know. I'm going to be watching those movies pretty soon because I just got the Blu-ray set. I got it like about 6 months ago. I take so long to watch these things. But I think they really owe it to themselves to send out Patrick Stewart on a high note. And I don't really know what you could do with him, though, in a TV series. You would think, or at least hope, that it's going to include other members of the Next Generation cast. I mean, all of them are still out and about on the convention circuit doing things. But, what do you do with him? You put him in charge of another spaceship, another, exploration vessel? I don't know. Because, like I said, I don't really know where you go from here. But are you interested in seeing Patrick Stewart back as Jean-Luc Picard? And what would you think about that show? What would it be? What would it be about? Let me know what you think in the comments below. But like I said, I watched TNG the first couple of seasons, about 2.5 seasons. Quite honestly, lost my interest and never really picked it up too good again. I mean, I would pick it up when I would see a Q episode. Always checked out the Q episodes. They were always entertaining. Always loved Lore. Lore was always a great character. So whenever I would see them, I would tune in. But and the odd episode, you know, I seen there was a big to do, of course, about the Locutus episodes with Borg and stuff. Which, to be honest with you, I don't know if I've ever seen. I don't remember if I've seen that one all the way through. I might have just seen the second part. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below about Patrick Stewart reprising the role of Jean-Luc Picard. And he better do it pretty soon. I mean, you know, let's just say. Time and tide wait for no man. Okay, let's see. Again, as usual, please bear with me because I've got my notes in reverse as usual. One of these days, I'm going to do my notes properly. Okay. We're going to talk about some casting news now for Wonder Woman 84. Wonder Woman 84 adds another key piece with Master of None actor Ravi Patel, which I imagine is him on the left. And let's see. Also, Gabriella Wilde, who was in the 2013 remake of Carrie, and also in 2011's Three Musketeers, in an unknown role. I don't know. She looks like, to me, like she could be playing young Cheetah, whatever her name's going to be. Priscilla, something like that. Priscilla Minerva or something. I forget. But she looks like she could be the young version of that. But I don't know. Maybe it's just this picture. Maybe she's the same age as Kristen Wiig. I don't know. No hints or details surrounding their characters have been revealed as of now. They join Gal Gadot, Chris Pine, Kristen Wiig, Pedro Pascal, and Natasha Rothwell in Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 1984. That sounds pretty interesting. I don't know who are these characters going to be. Is this going to be, like I said, maybe a young Cheetah in a flashback, or is this possibly a Amazon that might be joining Wonder Woman in the big city or something? Let me know what you think in the comments below. What is going to happen here in Wonder Woman 84? This is something that is still pretty much devoid of details. Of course, the shooting had just started a couple of, what is it, about 2 months now? Yeah, a couple of months. So they probably aren't going to be letting us in on any story details for quite a while. Okay, let's see. All right, next up we've got some more rumor mill stuff here. This is on the Marvel side. Now, we've heard some rumblings on the internet that Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury will be showing up in Spider-Man Far From Home. And the rumor also includes, Still My Heart, Colby Smulders as Maria Hill. Newman Aker, or Acer, I don't know how you pronounce his name, the guy that I think probably is going to be Kraven the Hunter, who recently joined the cast of the Spider-Man sequel in an undisclosed role, has shared an Instagram post with several hashtags, including Colby Smulders, Maria Hill, Mysterio, Jake Gyllenhaal, and had removed this post, as I understand it, with all these hashtags because it seems like nobody in Spider-Man Homecoming's cast can keep a secret. You're not alone, Tom Holland. But yeah, this looks to be pretty cool. I am a big fan of Colby Smulders and Maria Hill. I want to see her do more. When's the last time we actually saw her in the MCU? Besides the post-credit scene of Avengers 3, she was in The Winter Soldier, right? That was the last time, I think. And she's a great ancillary character, just like Coulson was. You know, these are the characters you want to see pop up from time to time. And we haven't seen enough of her. Apparently, this news is broke already that Samuel L. Jackson's back. I didn't hear that when that happened, but it seems to me what they're trying to do is they're trying to give us the what was that show called, the XD, the Disney XD show from Ultimate Spider-Man. That's what's called, where he was Spider-Man was a agent of Shield that was sort of pulled out, from time to time. They actually got Clark Gregg's voice to voice Coulson and have him interact with Spider-Man. I don't know. I honestly don't. I don't know about this MCU Spider-Man franchise. It really has, quite frankly, disenfranchised me. I'm not all that thrilled with what they've done with Spider-Man Homecoming, and I don't really know that I like the sound of where it's going from here. But they do have Maria Hill in their favor. Colby Smulders is back, apparently. Let me know what you think in the comments below about that. Alrighty. Next up, another grist for the mill story where we hear the Batman, the scuttlebutt on the Batman, still directed by Matt Reeves, apparently. It is looking increasingly unlikely that Ben Affleck will return as the Dark Knight, and Reeves is looking to cast a younger actor as the iconic DC hero. We're hearing that it's much younger, as in 15 to 20 years younger than Affleck's incarnation. This is said to be the reason why Jake Gyllenhaal ultimately dropped out of contention and chose to do Spider-Man Far From Home instead. So that's interesting. I don't like this idea where apparently now they want to do a new Batman Begins type movie. I don't think we need that again. A real year one. I don't know, but we'll get more into this. Let's see. Who is now in line to don the cape and cowl? Jack Houston from Pride and Prejudice and Zombies was a contender around the same time as Gyllenhaal, but also dropped out of the running. However, he may still be up for another major role, Harvey Dent, a.k.a. Two-Face. That's interesting to have Two-Face back. He's one of my favorite villains. While the Penguin is still expected to be one of the villains, it seems Dent will also make an appearance because Reeves' film will reportedly bear resemblance to Frank Miller's Batman Year One. It remains to be seen how much of it draws from the story, but if Reeves is indeed planning to introduce a much younger version of the Caped Crusader, it does make sense that he'd be looking for this acclaimed tale for inspiration. Like I said, I already got Batman Begins. That's the best incarnation of Batman. Why do they keep going back to the well for? It's the same thing with I mean, they didn't overplay the Batman origin the way they did other superheroes. I mean, Batman 89 had a flashback. Batman v Superman had a flashback. Batman Begins is the only one that really took from the very beginning of the story and ran with it. But if we go back to that era of Batman, once again, we can't have Robin, we can't have Batgirl, we can't have the Bat Family, we can't. There'll probably be a different Commissioner Gordon. We won't get J.K. Simmons. It's like, why do we have to start from scratch? Can't we just kind of replace the character and continue on? I get the feeling that Ben Affleck being Batman ruined Batman more than he helped Batman. Because a lot of people were like on the fence, oh, is he going to be bad? Is he going to be good? Oh, I want to keep seeing more from Ben Affleck. Oh, let's get a new Batman. But the fact is that I don't think they're going to do a contemporary Batman with Wonder Woman and Superman and all that now. Now they're just going to do Batman in his own little pocket Batman universe while all these other heroes will probably cross over from time to time. Rumor being Superman and Shazam, or possibly Aquaman and Wonder Woman or something. But these things are not including Batman, and that is what's irritating to me because I liked Justice League. I don't care what anybody says about it. It was a good movie. It was a fun movie. It wasn't a perfect movie, especially given the stress and strain it was under, but it was a good movie, and I don't see why we can't just replace Ben Affleck, because we all knew he was in it for the short term. At least I did. And we knew that he'd have to be replaced eventually. And now the time has come. It's no different than, the several other times Batman had to be replaced in the original film series. So let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you think about replacing Ben Affleck and doing another Batman origin movie that resembles year one. I could do without it, quite honestly. All right, so here we go with our feature story of the evening. Star Wars Episode IX, The Return of the Three L's, Luke, Lando, and Leia. Oh my. Did I say Luke, Lando, and Leo? Yeah, okay. Luke, Leia, and Lando. Oh my. And of course, as I said in the title of this video, why do you build me up, Buttercup? This is supposed to get me excited about Episode 9. I don't know. I honestly don't know what to think about this because, like a fool, I did get excited when I heard about this. Now, the story is that they are going to use existing footage of Carrie Fisher from Episode 7. I still got to get used to what numbers they are. I should just say The Force Awakens. But they're going to use existing footage from The Force Awakens, Episode 7, that didn't make the cut, and they are going to insert it into Episode 9 as new Leia scenes. While this is good news, I have to question exactly how you can do a well-orbed character from deleted scenes. Unless J.J. Abrams just went nuts and started shooting 50 takes of all different scenarios. Well, what if you said this? And what if you said that? And you can just stitch it together and make her have a conversation with anyone. I guess that's the possibility. Otherwise, I think this is much ado about nothing because they're probably just going to have her in one scene and, as I said, stitch together a couple of sort of generic sentences that you can apply in any situation. And that will be her contribution. Now, while, like I said, I like that they're putting Carrie Fisher in the film, I don't want to see it recast, obviously. And I wasn't never against the CGI version of Princess Leia, you know, as long as it wasn't overdone. You know, I think the amount of time they gave Grand Moff Tarkin was probably about right. If you're going to have that person through the whole movie, I don't know if the technology's there, but this seems like the best of both worlds. You could still have her in the film. Hopefully, because it's, the genuine Carrie Fisher performance, but hopefully they are able to give her, the right amount of spotlight, give her something credible to do in the film and not just be sort of a token scene that says, well, we had to have Princess Leia in the film, didn't we? So here's your one scene. They have to do it. Of course, they've done things like this with Fast and the Furious. I'm not really into those films, so I don't really know how that worked out. My brother saw that one. And the tragic passing of one of the lead actors there. And it continued on. The franchise continued on with him in the movie for, I don't know, 2-3 scenes, something like that, and then they wrote him out. Similarly, I suppose, is what's going to happen here. All right, we also have point 2 on this tri-pronged news report that was released. It is confirmed that Lando Calrissian is in Episode 9 as played by Billy Dee Williams, the iconic figure of Billy Dee Williams. And I always said Billy Dee is one of my favorite characters. His performance of Lando Calrissian is one of my favorite performances in the Star Wars saga. So I'm glad that he's finally coming back. And we'll get to that in a second. Let's get to the final point on this crown, as we say. It has been confirmed also that Mark Hamill will reprise the role of Luke Skywalker in Star Wars Episode 9. A beardless Luke Skywalker, mind you, will be in Star Wars Episode 9 because, as you see here, he had shaved the contractually obligated beard before shooting started because, he's not going to get that beard back up to full size until months from now, and the shooting begins, I believe they said, in a couple of weeks, although I thought it already happened earlier this month, so I don't know what conflicting reports we have here. But of course, first off, what do you think about this news? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Again, I'm happy to hear Mark Hamill is back as Luke Skywalker, and I firmly believe this is going to be Episode 9, the Apology Tour. They are, you see, Disney Lucasfilm is corporate. And that was one of my complaints about The Force Awakens, is it was an exercise in corporate filmmaking. You can go back to my In Defense of George Lucas and Star Wars prequels video and see where I say that. They're corporate filmmakers. They go by what the focus groups tell them. They go by what the box office is telling them. They go by what the word of mouth tells them. So when they made The Force Awakens, as you can remember, not very hard to recall, that during the whole promotional tour, there was a strong emphasis on, we hate the prequels. There's going to be practical effects. There's going to be practical costumes as much as possible. We're not going to overindulge CGI because the prequel haters didn't like CGI in their Star Wars movies. And we're not going to talk about Jar Jar Binks. His bones are bleaching in the desert sun. And all this stuff was very anti-prequel. And as someone who was a prequel fan, I was like, get over yourself. But now they're faced with the same problem. Now the vocal majority of fans detest Episode 8. And the problem being is, how are we going to appease the fans now that we pretty much, and they've seen the returns on Solo. They know that that was the direct response to what they'd been doing with The Last Jedi. So they're going to have to go back to the drawing board now, and that is why, make no mistake about it, that is why they went back to J.J. Abrams. And they begged him, literally on bended knee, to take up this case, this cause, so to speak. And he was the one that, along with Lawrence Kasdan, outlined basically what this story would be. And of course, the mildest of outlines they created was discarded by Roundhead Rian Johnson in order to just do the movie he wanted that apparently would appeal to him and nobody else. All right, let me stop right there, because I know there are a lot of people who are going to say they love The Last Jedi, they love The Last Jedi, they love The Last Jedi, and that's fine. You want to love The Last Jedi, I ain't going to stop you. You think it's a great movie, I ain't going to debate you or refute you at this point, because that's already been done. Everybody knows at least my feelings on it. I've gone over several times. I did several videos that you can look up. But the fact remains that you are in the minority. And it's sort of something that is happening to the DCEU, where you have the vocal Zack Snyder fringe element of the fandom who are clamoring for the Snyder Cut. They're threatening to boycott Aquaman. The box office for Justice League suffered because of these Snyderites. And so the same thing is going to happen here. We're going to see a backlash now, because they are going to, I believe, effectively undo all the damage that Rian Johnson did to the Star Wars franchise with this movie. And you're going to see a blowback in that direction now, because you're going to have the Last Jedi loyalists saying, you undid that beautiful death of Luke Skywalker, you ruined that wonderful treatment of Snoke, you sacrificed that great storyline of Rey's parents being a drunk that sold her for booze money. I believe all of that is going to be retconned in this film. They are going to resolve all that stuff. And that's my take on this. I don't think they're going to just, plug on and just go on with the story that Rian Johnson left them with. They are going to do some mighty course corrections in this movie. I will guarantee that, because, it still might not be a good movie. Don't misunderstand. We still have a bunch of clumsy-handed, Mamalukes in the kitchen. But the fact is, they are not going to just let Johnson's, they're not going to let his stew stand. It's not going to stay there and mutate. They're going to cut it short and cut their losses. They are going to try to give the fans something to rally behind, so they can get butts in the seats and get some, pleased fandom once again. Good word of mouth will bring some people back and will actually have a successful film. Now, like I said, I believe what will happen is they will deal with Luke Skywalker's death. I believe they'll bring him back. Mark Hamill is back in the movie is a good sign, because I believe that he probably wouldn't have come back unless, of course, he's still under contract. I don't know. That's a possibility. But I don't see that he would want to work any further on this project if he is only going to come back as a Force ghost and just say one or two things and just be off. They must have a significant role for him. As I said before, I believe he will come back in the flesh. Mark Hamill himself has sort of put out a story, a narrative that Luke could have transported himself somewhere, that we didn't see the metal arm fall down when he disappeared. He could be just transported somewhere. The lack of a beard kind of suggests to me that maybe they are going to go the way of Revenge of the Sith and say that Luke Skywalker died, so to speak, when his spirit was killed before The Last Jedi, and now he is back to looking like he did. That's kind of hard to swallow. I hope they don't go with that there. I just hope that they have him brought back. They're going to try to evoke the memory of young Luke Skywalker by having him without the beard. I believe, like I said, they could say he could come back in the flesh through the Force, because that is something that Lucas sort of outlined but didn't use in the original treatments of Return of the Jedi and The Empire Strikes Back. And, they should take it from there. Now, we still have some more news here. Let's see. Deadline is reporting that Kerry Russell is confirmed to be in the sequel, as well as, let's see. Okay. Naomi Ackie from Lady Macbeth and the Five, and Richard E. Grant from Downtown Abbey are in as yet unnamed roles. All right, so that's cool. Okay, we also got a quote here from J.J. Abrams saying that finding a truly satisfying conclusion to the Skywalker saga without her eluded us. We were never going to recast or use a CG character. With the support and blessing from her daughter Billy, we have found a way to honor Carrie's legacy and role as Leia in Episode 9 by using unseen footage we shot together in Episode 7. So, again, that's cool. It's good that they've been able to do something like that. Okay, they will join Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, Adam Driver, Lupita Nyong'o, Domhnall Gleeson, Kelly Marie Tran, Jonas Sumato, and Billy Lord in Episode 9. It will begin filming in London's Pinewood studio next Wednesday, August 1st, with a script co-written by Abrams and Chris Terrio. Terrio is best known for his work on Justice League and Argo. The final installment will be scored by award-winning composer John Williams once again. All right, now here is the other bit of news that came out this past week. This guy has some rumor mill gossip here. It says here that J.J. Abrams would be taking his crew back to the Cardigan airstrip sheds in Bedfordshire, England. This location was first seen during the climactic ending of A New Hope and served as home base for the rebels. Cardigan airstrip sheds were used to construct the Massassi Outpost, aka Base 1, on the planet Yavin 4, and it was also seen in the more recent Rogue One. Now we may know what is being shot here for Star Wars Episode 9. This final chapter will bring Rey, Finn, and Poe together for some adventure time, which we haven't seen in the last two movies. The two will be on Yavin 4, when it's attacked by whom? We can only assume the First Order. Mike Zero says, he's the one that's breaking this rumor, I guess, says that this is about a big chase scene that could see the base of Yavin destroyed for good. I believe it, because I would say the whole planet Yavin will be destroyed in this film, because J.J. Abrams loves destroying planets, boy. J.J. Abrams loves destroying planets. All right. Yeah, I'm not going to read the rest of that stuff, but All right, this is the other bit of information here. We've got the rumor is Disney and Lucasfilm brought in George Lucas to consult on the script, while they pretty much turned their back on him when The Force Awakens was coming together. So, according to these rumors here, they learned their lesson. They are going to turn to Uncle George and ask him, what are we doing wrong about Star Wars? How are we going to give this a good feel? And fans will respond well to it like they did when you actually made it. Okay, it says George Lucas stayed pretty mute on Disney's films as they rebooted the franchise, but he did show up on the set of Rogue One where he made a few suggestions. He then visited Ron Howard on Solo, where he even reworked a scene. Now it's rumored that he's working alongside J.J. Abrams to make sure they get this one perfect. It isn't known if he's on scene in the Cardigan Sheds or if he just casually dropped in on the script writing sessions. Expect that info to come out at a later date. So, yeah, it looks to me like they have learned their lesson. I think they... See, the thing is with George, though, he said he really didn't want to... You remember the famous lines. He's like, you know, when you break up in a relationship, you don't go by the house to see how they are. You don't call them up on the phone. They must be in dire straits to... And they are in dire straits to go to George Lucas and say, look, can you check out what we're doing here? Can you make sure that we're not going to mess it up pretty badly like we did the last time? Actually, the last two times. So this would be pretty cool if true that he is going to actually take a hand in guiding them with the script. Maybe not writing something, but doing like he did in the other films that were mentioned, Rogue One and Solo. Make some suggestions. Say this, the scene will play better this way. Get this one right. Do this one right. That's, even if he just does that enough times, it should get the script in a proper shape, and it won't embarrass us again this year with another Star Wars film. Okay, it has been widely reported that Star Wars Episode IX will have a huge time jump from The Last Jedi. This is in place mostly to rework the General Leia scenes that have already been planned out. Finn will have a whole new outfit, and his hair will be substantially longer. I don't know if I want to see that. Finn's going to have long hair? What is he going to look like? I don't know. Poe will be getting a new flight suit, but the real news here is that Rey is getting a completely new look that is unlike anything seen in Star Wars before. The look is yet to be described. Well, I don't know. I don't know about that either. I mean, what does that mean that we've never seen before? Is that supposed to frighten us? Is that supposed to make us a little apprehensive? I don't know what that means. I don't know. It should surprise fans of the series. As explained, Luke has a different look in all three original trilogy movies, though this is different. Rey is getting a maxi makeover, and we can't wait to see it. So, I don't know, a maxi makeover. What are they going to do? They're going to give her like real crazy hair extensions and stuff? Is that what this means? Have a real samurai robe and stuff, maybe finally. But then again, I don't know. They don't want to make it look anything like a real Jedi would wear. Maybe, I don't know. Because I think her outfit before this has been pretty appropriate for an apprentice. This looks like something, the things that she's been wearing is like something that would be sort of in the realm of the prequel trilogy, that they would be wearing stuff like that, apprentices. I don't know, we'll see. The most interesting new rumor to come out since shooting started is that now they're saying shooting has started. I thought they said it wasn't going to start until August. It's confusing. Anyhow, the most interesting rumor is Maz Kanata will have a pretty big role to play in the movie. She was barely in The Last Jedi, relegated to a glorified cameo. Here she will get a giant new spaceship that is described as a pirate ship. It has huge metallic wings that are like the sails on a pirate ship, and it's manned by a diverse crew of humans, droids, and aliens. So, I'm not really surprised about this because J.J. Abrams really likes this character for some reason, and I personally don't, and I think that was one of the highlights of The Last Jedi for me, was that she only got a cameo. Because it seems to me like it's just a retread of Yoda, but they're trying to give her the personality of Maud or something. Golden Girls Yoda. I don't know. They're trying to do something with that character that is just not working right with me. She's either Force sensitive or she's not. She's either a Jedi or she's not, but they're trying to make her some, I don't know, now she's a pirate. I don't get it. I honestly don't. Rey will be joining Maz on this giant ship, and it's believed that there will be a scene between Maz and Rey that finally explains where Luke's old blue lightsaber came from. The idea now is that Lando was responsible. After the events of Return of the Jedi, he went back to Cloud City and discovered the lightsaber in a lost and found box gathered up by a couple of Ugnaughts. Oh, man, I couldn't help it. I had to laugh at that one. That sucker went down. That went down. Didn't go down into the city core and came out the other side into the atmosphere. That's what I always expected to happen to it. I didn't know it landed somewhere and the Ugnaughts picked it up and threw it in a box. And did it have the hand with it still? I don't know. I don't know. And then Lando just found it and I guess decided to. That's been going on through the entirety of the EU, though. For some reason, everybody wants to treat that blue lightsaber like it was Excalibur. It really wasn't. It was just a piece of machinery that Obi-Wan used to kind of get Luke in touch with being a Jedi as a visual aid. You know what I mean? It wasn't something that he could have created a new lightsaber and just gave it to him, but it had that added emotional weight of being his father's, and that's kind of why he ended up responding to it, I guess, more. Okay. Lando took it to Maz knowing she'd know what to do with it. Oh, well, she knows everything. She must know what to do with it. While we haven't seen Maz and Lando interact before, there is apparently some Lego release that has Lando hanging out in Maz's castle, which is said to help set up their relationship. Apparently, Han and Lando have both known Maz for years. All right, so I can understand this anyway. I can understand that they're trying to find an in for Lando to show up. Because how are you just going to pull him out of nowhere in order to get back into the movie and into the series? I don't know. You'd have to have someone pull him out of hiding because, you know, it's kind of hard to understand why Han and Chewie haven't gone to him before this. It's on this spaceship that Maz is said to help Rey repair her lightsaber. J.J. Abrams will make sense of it all, I'm sure. Oh, yes, I'm sure, too. I'm very sure. There's a lot to take in at the moment. There'll be plenty more rumors coming out of the Star Wars 9 base camp as shooting continues. Okay. Well, there you have it, folks. There's your rumors of the week for episode 9. Let me know what you think about them in the comments below. Do you like the idea of these rumors? Do you like having Maz come back as a pirate captain? Lando retrieving Luke's blue lightsaber and giving it to Maz, which I guess is an old buddy of his. Do you like the idea of the introduction of Princess Leia through recorded scenes that didn't make the cut originally for The Force Awakens? Do you like the idea of Luke Skywalker, the beardless Luke Skywalker, now returning to action in some capacity? Let me know in the comments below. And also, do you think that George Lucas will save this film? Help us, George Lucas. You're our only hope. Let me know in the comments below. So, we've got one more order of business here, and it looks like it's going to be a long show. I didn't think it was going to be this long of a show. But we always like to do a little segment we like to call Mailbag. Yeah, Mailbag. I got my mailbag out, and we are going to take a look at some of the comments I've received. Earlier on today, I received a comment from Mr. White Gloves from Splash Page Comics. Be sure to check out Splash Page Comics. Mr. White Gloves Does America is doing a good job on his channel. And in response to my Supergirl, please punch a big robot video, he said simply, I agree. Thank you, Mr. White Gloves, a big friend of the show, and always happy to hear from you whenever you show up. I also got another comment, a much more lengthy comment, from Luke Strawwalker, who made a comment on my Legend of the Lone Ranger review, which I'm very proud of that review, by the way, because not too many people were really getting into the nitty-gritty of that film and reviewing it. We got a couple of reviews when I started YouTube. I checked to see if anybody had done a pretty decent retrospective on that film. Not many people had, and I was proud of putting something together for that. I thought it was really, really good. It came out really, really well. And I recommend everybody checking that one out. I mean, if you want me to recommend some of my best videos, I would say that's one of them. Anyhow, Luke says, saw this film when it came out way back in the early 80s. It was a good film and sadly underrated. And as you said, the controversy surrounding it really killed it. All right, pause for a second here. If you don't know what he's talking about, of course, you should just go check out the video, but there was a controversy of Clayton Moore doing live appearances dressed as the Lone Ranger, and the producers at the time that were making the film, The Legend of the Lone Ranger, didn't want him to do appearances in costume because they felt it was competing with the new version of the Lone Ranger. They took legal action to prevent him from doing live appearances. Eventually, he won the case and was able to do live appearances again eventually, but for a time, it was a PR nightmare for the film because everybody loved Clayton Moore, and seeing him getting treated so poorly, you know, he was like the George Reeves of Superman. He was the one that the kids in the 50s all knew, and, you know, he was like the Adam West of the Batman series. You know, you didn't want to see him getting mistreated like this, and it put a really negative light on the film. All right, I continue. Spilsbury was good in the role, as were the supporting cast. I'm not sure why they redubbed him. Would be interesting to find out. Not sure why he never made another picture either. Christopher Lloyd simply made this movie. His rendition of Cavendish was very good, and he was excellent in the villain roles as he was as the Klingon Krug in Star Trek II around this time as well. Actually, it was Star Trek III. Pity he didn't do more villain roles. I say the same thing. I always loved Christopher Lloyd as a villain more than a hero. He did a couple of villain roles. You know, he did Roger Rabbit as Judge Doom. He did Krug in Star Trek III. He did a villain in the pilot of the Street Hawk TV series. Very good as a villain. Of course, he did have a very strong presence in Legend of the Lone Ranger as Cavendish. He really elevated that role, as I said in the video, because it could have been a very thankless and forgettable role without his putting his considerable talent to it. I continue. His distinct delivery of lines was classic, and he really defined the character and style of Klingons in the subsequent Star Trek incarnations more than any other actor, in my humble opinion, with the possible exception of Michael Ansara's Klingon character in the original series of Star Trek. I agree entirely. All right. Continuing on. Another Buck Rogers alumni, Juanin Clay, who incidentally originally was cast as Wilma Deering before the producers decided they wanted Erin Gray in the role. Oh, see, I didn't know that. Thanks for adding that to my education, because I did do some reading up on many of the actors in this. I didn't know Juanin Clay was originally sought to be Wilma. That's very interesting. Okay, I continue on here. Juanin Clay was another bright spot in the film, and it's a pity they didn't do more character development with her. Perhaps if the movie had been successful and spawned a sequel, they would have. Sadly, she passed away not long after this movie was made. She was a very lovely young lady, and her performance in War Games and one of the first episodes of Buck Rogers in the 25th Century were first rate. Yes, that's true, very true. I haven't seen War Games in a long time. I forgot she was even in it, but I mean, yeah, she had a very short career, considering that she passed on so young. And I believe she was only like 42 or something like that. He continues on. This movie was far better than the mockery drivel Disney put out as a showcase for Johnny Depp a few years back. Seems like The Lone Ranger is just doomed when it comes to a successful production, as both attempts so far have used no-name newcomers that gave questionable performances, though Spilsbury's portrayal was far better than Armie Hammer's. Maybe if someone decides to try again in a few years, the third time will be the charm. Thanks for the review, Old JR. Well, thank you, Old JR, for the comment, and I agree pretty much 100% with your takes on the film. And again, yes, the Lone Ranger is a great character. I would love to see him brought back, and like you said, the third time would be the charm, hopefully. I think part of the problem is they don't know how to deal with the relationship between Lone Ranger and Tonto in these politically correct days. You know, I mean, in this politically correct climate, you have to make sure that Tonto is not seen as an underling. It was the same problem they had doing the Green Hornet with Kato, because when you have the sidekick be an ethnic character, eventually what happens is they have to take the spotlight away from the hero because, well, you can't marginalize Kato. He's an Asian American and he deserves some spotlight. He shouldn't be in the shadow of the Green Hornet. The same thing here. Tonto's a Native American and he shouldn't be sidelined for the favor of the Lone Ranger. You know what I mean? So I think in that case, a lot of times that's why the old pulp heroes, let's say, such as the Lone Ranger and the Green Hornet, don't get their due. They don't get their respect because they don't know how to handle it. Just make it as, you know, it was on the original films and serials and so forth. Of course, you got to update it a little bit. I'm not saying that like I said, even back in the 70s, it was kind of politically incorrect for Tonto to use the pidgin English that, you know, Jay Silverheels did, and they took that away, which was not too bad. And I think they did give Tonto a pretty decent, a decent stature in this film. He is the childhood friend of the Lone Ranger in this film, and he's also, he adds to the Lone Ranger's education in this film. He aids him in his education as well. And also, you have to remember the film, for some reason, to me, like I said in the review, it goes off tracks when he becomes the Lone Ranger. It's the perfect origin film up until then, and they really don't know what to do with the Lone Ranger after that. It has the weakest third act, I think, of any superhero film I've ever seen. Certainly of any origin superhero film I've ever seen. They all have the problem of what do we do now that we've told the origin. But in most cases, they manage to surmount that. You know, I mean, Spider-Man with the Green Goblin and the sadistic choice was good. Superman and the leveling of California or whatever, that they usually can get, a decent idea for the last act. In this case, they tried to do something with him saving the president, but it felt kind of flat, I think. And the final fist fight between him and Cavendish, though, was very good. I really enjoyed that. I think that should have been, the coup de grace of the film, but you could have led up to it with something a little more, engaging, I'd say. All right, so once again, thank you to all the commenters that have commented on my videos. It is always much appreciated. Much love and respect to each and every one of you who watch and take the time to comment. Also, take the time to smash that like button. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. Go to my website. Check out The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Comics. As you may or may not know, I am the creator, writer, illustrator, and colorist, letterer, basically the whole job. It's me. I'm the creator of Bullets Bourbon Comics. And you can go to my website. You can check out a 2-page free preview. You can pick up my 4 issues that are out in the series already at Indie Comics, which you can find the link on my website as well on the front page. And we've got Bullets Bulletins there where we do Johnny's Jukebox. You can also check out my Twitter page from there. All good fun. And of course, I've also got, I don't hype it enough, but my work from home page where I show you a few places where you can make some extra money if you are so inclined. So that is going to do it for another week here at the Torch News Roundup. Big 99th episode. We went overtime too, and we hit a lot of subjects. Let me know what you think about all of them in the comments below. And as always, this is Johnny Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.